So yesterday we checked out a mock draft that had all kinds of crazy trades, and I thought that was fun. So today we're going to do a 2023 NFL mock draft with trades, but we're going to try to keep it a bit more realistic and within the realm of reason, but still while exploring different possibilities that could happen in the draft. What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. Special thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the video. If you like weekly fantasy or player prop bets, then go ahead, sign up at Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code Broshmo, and they'll hook you up to start your betting journey. And remember, my friends, bet responsibly. Let's go ahead and get this sucker started. I got to bring in my guest host, Gojo here. Gojo here to help out. You want to help out with the first pick, bud? No, you're only interested in the Kansas City Chiefs, aren't you? Gojo's a stinking Chiefs fan, man. Can't believe it. As a Dolphins fan, I hate it. Well, Dolphins aren't going to be drafted in the first round, or are they? We got trades in this sucker. So let's get this thing started with number one, the Houston Texans. I think there is an 85 to 90% chance this picks a quarterback. We're not seeing trades at this juncture just yet, but I think this one's going to be a quarterback. Which quarterback that may be, that's yet to be seen. I like going Bryce Young. He is my top quarterback in the draft, so we're going to continue to go Bryce Young. The Chicago Bears, this is the first interesting spot where a trade may or may not happen. And you know what? If a deal gets done, it's not going to happen during the trade. It's going to happen before. However, I think there's a good chance the Bears just decide to keep this pick and to get a blue chip prospect, to get the best non-quarterback prospect available. There are two of those guys in Will Anderson and Jalen Carter. However, Matt Eberflus, one of the biggest moves that they made when he was with the Colts, was trading a first-round pick to acquire DeForest Buckner. And I think they're going to do a very similar thing here and use a first-round pick to acquire Jalen Carter. Then they'll worry about the edge position a little later on. Now, the Seattle Seahawks, another team, if a trade gets done, it's going to happen before the draft. You don't see hardly ever trades inside the top 5, top 7 during the draft. So the Seahawks, I think for the most part, they're going to keep this pick. You could talk about quarterback here. Not Bryce Young. I don't think I'm going to worry about it. We're just going to move forward with Geno Smith, and we're just going to take the best non-quarterback prospect available, basically whoever the Bears do not pick. And in this case, the Seattle Seahawks will be getting Will Anderson. Very nice pass rusher there. Now, kind of an odd spot for the Cardinals because it's like feels a bit early to take an offensive lineman at this juncture, unless you're totally just swooning over a guy like maybe Peter Skoronski, who again lacks some length, not ideal play strength, not an ideal athlete. Or maybe you fall in love with like Paris Johnson, who looked pretty good in his first year at left tackle. I don't think that's where you're going here if you're Cardinals. And then you might be like, trade down. Again, inside the top 5, top 7, hardly happens during the draft. I think Cardinals just sit on this pick. They can get their top corner or the first corner off the board, their pick of the gander. Instead, I think they're going to go with the guy who I think is going to test out like Travon Walker, who, if you didn't know, went first in the 2022 NFL draft, and Myles Murphy. Murphy is a bit more polished, but still a pretty unpolished pass rusher, but he has more production to his name than Travon Walker ever did. So we're going to go with Myles Murphy, address that pass rush. J.J. Watt's already on his retirement tour, so let's go ahead and do that. So things kind of fall into place here. Colts, they get the pick of the quarterback 2 in this class, being Will Levis or C.J. Stroud. Again, it's kind of a tough pick depending on how high you are on the tools of Will Levis and can you get past the errant decision making this year. Or you look at C.J. Stroud, who is one of the best clean pocket passers in this class, but you did see some struggles while under pressure this year. I do think he's capable of improvising, just unfortunately sometimes that improvisation. Sometimes when he is doing that, it didn't always go according to plan. I still like the size. I like the arm talent. This guy that's capable of throwing it wherever he wants on the field. I'm going to go with CJ Stroud in this instance. All right, there we go. We're rolling. We're moving. We're rolling and moving. All right, the Atlanta Falcons could also be an interesting spot for a trade down, but we're not doing that as of right now. Don't worry, we'll get willy-nilly with the trades soon enough, but we're not doing it here. Instead, we could get our pick of the gander from the corner class. Then again, I don't mind what they have at corner. I think they could add maybe another free agent and kind of be a-okay. They really need help with pass rush. Lorenzo Carter ain't a long-term solution. They need someone, you can make a case inside to go to pair up with Grady Jarrett, maybe Brian Breezy, or you could go with an edge rusher on the outside. And I really thought hard about this because I was like, okay, they struggle against the run. They could get a guy who's going to be project at the very least as a very good run defender in Tyree Wilson, who's going to test out well for a guy his size. Or you could get Jared Verse, who's just plays with his hair on fire off the edge, who's going to be a consistent guy to get pressure there with Arnold Ebiketie. If you didn't know, now you know. Jared Verse is a guy I've been very high on during this whole process. He was a top 50 prospect for me preseason, coming into the year, before he even played an FBS snap, or at least Division I, wherever the hell it is. And he looked fantastic in spring practices for Florida State. This is a guy that not only plays fast, but he plays strong. I'm going to go with Jared Verse here. This is the highest I've taken Jared Verse in a draft. And you know what? I like it. I love it. I could really do with some more of it. Here, let me get this a little bigger for y'all. There we go. All right. So it's just so nice to see Jared Verse be talked about in the top 20, top 15 at this juncture. I'm very excited about Jared Verse. All right, we're on to the Detroit Lions. So we could do a lot of things here. Maybe a team wants to move up for the quarterback to jump the Panthers. Maybe a team wants, maybe the Lions want to take quarterback. I don't think so. At this point, for me, like, CJ Stroud's kind of a hard pass for me. Will Levis, I'm kind of more I'm like, you know what, we could kind of maybe probably take the best prospect currently on the board here if we really want with the Detroit Lions, and kind of hang back and see what happens in this draft. And I kind of think that's what we're gonna do. We could get a top corner here. That's definitely in the cards. You get your pick of the gander. Instead, I'm going to try to address the interior, get a guy to play next to Liam McNeil and Brian Breezy. I think he's going to test out extremely well. He's a guy that can grind out snaps. I think he plays exceptionally well. He's been like the can opener for that Clemson defensive line. If people are like, the production's just not there, it's like, well, often he's the guy creating room for Jeremiah Trotter to come in and get pressure on a blitz. He is a guy who is the can opener on stunts to get guys like KJ Henry and Xavier Thomas, Tyler Davis. He's a guy getting guys like that, helping get them get production. That's why those guys are on the draft radar, a large part because Brian Brazee is just. So we're going to go ahead and grab him for the Detroit Lions. All right, listen. Tepper apparently loves Will Levis. Carolina Panthers kind of need to get a quarterback. I don't know. They might end up messing up and winning the AFC or the NFC South. We'll find out this week. But I think this is a no-brainer. If Will Levis makes it here, it's nice because guess what? You don't have to trade up for him. And I looked at this quarterback class and I was thinking about a variety of different trades that could involve teams moving up to get the quarterbacks. I just don't think it's that type of quarterback class, though. I really don't. It's a lot better than last year's, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's this type of quarterback class where I think teams are going to be more content with sitting, waiting, seeing how the draft plays out, and then going ahead taking their guy. So we're going to go ahead and snag Will Levis here. So that's kind of what our top 8's looking like. I think that's very plausible. It's looking good to me. Now we get to the Las Vegas Raiders, which I actually sat on this pick for quite a bit. I was like, okay, we could go tackle. We could go corner. They're going to have a few guys, free agents there. So the cornerback room is a little thin. Tyree Wilson's here as a pass rusher if you want that. I was like, you know what? Can we maybe explore maybe some trades? Is there a team maybe that's willing to trade up? So, great. I got to make this small again for y'all to see the trades. That's great. Here we go. Oh, wait. I got a better idea. Hold the phone. Hold the front door. The wheels are turning. I got a better idea. We're going to do this. And we're going to mess with this screen. That way y'all can view the trades. Yo, ain't I so smart? Probably should have done this beforehand. All right. So, who are the... Okay, so the two lead candidates they have here, the teams may be interested in pick 9, are the Jags and the Bucks. I don't think those teams trade up. The team I have traded up is coming from 16, and it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. The trade I put in place here is very similar to the Texans Eagles trade from last year, where, let's see, we're going to be giving up. They're not interested in it. No, I'm interested in trading for this pick. All right, so it would be given up. I believe this is 4th and a 5th. I think the Texans gave up 2. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna move that to a 3rd. Oh man, they got a lot of picks, right? Maybe we could get one of these back. Screw it. Yeah, I mean, we're playing with 2 seconds anyway, so this is fine. So I got the Steelers trade up here. They give away a 3rd and a 5th to move up. What is that? 7 spots here. So I will not be trading good. We're going to resume the draft, and I'm going to go ahead pop this screen up. How the heck do I get out of this? I want to make a pick now. Oh, draft player. Here we go. Ha! Figured it out. All right. So, why would the Steelers move up? Listen, I think with none of the offensive line talent off the board yet, I think you go ahead and you make a move. It's like, let's go ahead and get a tackle here. Like, Dan Moore is fine, I think, as a reserve. He's shown to be pretty darn good in pass protection. It's just the run blocking on this line is so awful. Can we find some consistency? Like, just a guy that's good at both. There's a Corafor, who they could also get out of his contract. Maybe you move Dan Moore to the right tackle. I think regardless, they need some help along the offensive line. You could also make a case of being able to take the top, like pick whatever corner you want at this juncture. We're not going to do that. We're going to move up to get Paris Johnson. I think the cornerback depth in this class is real good, and they're going to be sitting there with the Bears' second round pick and be able to get a really good corner. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab, instead of going Peter Skoronski, I went ahead and decided to go with the guy I know that's going to be projected as a tackle in the NFL. With Skoronski, you do have those questions. Some teams are going to see him a different way, but we're going to go with Paris Johnson. All right, we got the Philadelphia Eagles here on the clock. We're going to go, like, it would have been nice if Breezy was here. Like, I'm actually a huge fan of pairing him up with Jordan Davis. Kind of is what it is. We could go with Tyree Wilson to kind of help out the edge room. I think instead we're just going to go with corner. Like, there's no, like, every corner is available and on the board here. We saw this year with the defense, they went to a more man-heavy defense, and even if you're like, oh well, they could jump back to like cover 3, they probably want to use a mix of both. Regardless, Christian Gonzalez I think profiles best for what the Eagles are trying to do. James Bradbury is a free agent as well, so we're gonna get Christian Gonzalez right here. Again, ideal scheme fit. So, okay. So far, things are looking all right. Pretty plausible. We got the Houston Texans here. I'm not going to think too much on this one. I'm going to go ahead with my top wide receiver in Quentin Johnston. Some people might fear, he's too similar to what they have in Nico Collins. Straight up, he's just better than Nico Collins. He's a better receiver. There is a chance Brandon Cooks could decide to want to be with the team going into the future. I know he wants to just be on a contender, and while the moves of Bryce Young and Quentin Johnston doesn't necessarily make them a contender right now, it's a team that's definitely moving in the right direction. So we grab that there. Got the Seattle Seahawks. I kind of wanted to consider a trade down here, but I was like, man, the corner value is just so good at this juncture. I can't simply pass on it. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to grab Keely Ringo, who I think is just a ideal fit. Can you imagine how scary? Tariq Woolen, Keely Ringo, you got some bomb athletes there at the corner position. Then Kobe Bryant there on the in the slot. I like that a lot. So you're walking away from this class with Will Anderson, Keely Ringo. Solid draft, Seattle Seahawks. Tennessee Titans, man. This is kind of a crap position for the Tennessee Titans. It was really hard for me to kind of figure out what specifically should I go here, because I think the Titans are pretty close to having to blow this thing up. Their offense is atrocious, even with Ryan Tannehill in there, and Tannehill, honestly, you're probably going to want to get off that contract the next year or so. Ultimately, I was like, you know what? Derrick Henry is still the engine to this offense. If they want to succeed, it goes through him. So you have to go with I think you have to address the offensive line. Left tackle, left guard are two very problematic areas. Hopefully, Peter Skoronski could fill left tackle. If not, he's going to be a really good guard in the NFL. So regardless, Skoronski, he's going to fill one of those two positions and do it at a high level. All right. So this is where my next trade comes in. So we're going to move over here. The team that they have that potentially could want a trade here is the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not going to do that. They just did that. I know that they traded down last year, so maybe they could trade up this year. They just don't have the assets. They really don't. I think a team that potentially can make this trade is a team that actually traded with the New England Patriots last year to allow them to move down. I got the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're going to try to replicate something similar with that trade, just with a little bit more value for New England when it comes this time around, because this is a 14 pick move up opposed to the 8 pick move up they had last year. So looking at last year, the Chiefs, they sent a third, a fourth. So I think we have no problem doing that, but I think we're gonna have to send more than just that. So we're probably gonna have to throw in a fifth, probably an early fifth. Maybe this one right here. So now the Patriots are getting a plethora of picks here. Yeah, I'm feeling good about that. So you get a third, a fourth. So I think I'm going to move it to this one. All right. So we got the Kansas City Chiefs moving up here. Bill Belichick doing his thing, moving down. They get 4 picks for the price of 1. Ain't that great. Man, that's just funny. I was thinking about it, who could potentially make moves here? And I was like, you know what? They traded last year. I think Kansas City wouldn't mind moving up with a guy like Tyree Wilson sliding down the boards. Though I think this is actually probably similar value to where he is on my actual big board. But he looks like a Steve Spagnuolo guy. You're going to be pairing him up with George Karlaftis. There we go. Hopefully you could eventually move on from Frank Clark, and this kind of enables you to do that. The secondary, I think, is starting to come around. Now you got Trent McDuffie healthy. He's playing really good football. Just add into that pass rush. Tyree Wilson, he helps with that, and you're getting an elite run defender as well. Now, We got the New York Jets. I considered, okay, maybe Broderick Jones here. I think ultimately I came down and I was like, okay, who's the highest guy on my board that would make sense here? And it was actually close with Broderick Jones and the guy I'm going to select right now in Brian Branch. But I think Branch just fills a better role currently for the New York Jets with LaMarcus Joyner. You could upgrade from him. You get a guy with similar range that's, I think, going to be much better, a better piece to move around the defensive backfield opposed to LaMarcus Joyner himself. So now you're going to be pairing him up with Jordan Whitehead, and I think that secondary looks exceptionally scary. I was really thinking about it. I was like, I think this team's going to really give Max Mitchell a shot at right tackle, and maybe have Elijah Vera Tucker potentially play left tackle. Maybe if they're feeling really good about Mekhi Becton next year, they move Vera Tucker over to right tackle, and hopefully Lincoln Tomlinson plays better than he did this year. Re-signing, I think Connor McGovern is kind of key for the squad, and then bringing back Nate Herbig, who hasn't been like extraordinary, but like if that is the weakest piece on your offensive line, I think your offensive line's in good shape. So ultimately, I was like, you know what, let's go with the secondary. I think this kind of completes that secondary for the Jets. All right, now we got the Las Vegas Raiders. And that's because I'm going to do something I don't think I've done for the Las Vegas Raiders just yet, and there was no way in heck I was going to do it at pick 9. But here we are, pick 16, Josh Jacobs. I don't think there's any way the Raiders bring back Josh Jacobs. Do you really want to pay a running back all that money? Look how good that did the Cowboys. No, but if you're able to trade down, move on from him, then shoot, let's go ahead and get Bijan Robinson, who is by far the best running back in this class. I think he's worth a top 20 pick. And for a team like the Raiders, who might not want to spend on running back, well, you just replace one of the top tier running backs currently in the NFL with the best running back in college football. So we did that there. Again, this was the only way I could justify Raiders. Like me personally, I felt good about the Raiders taking Bijan. Is if they move out of that 9 spot, they get some picks as reimbursement. So that's how it went down here. All right, we got the Green Bay Packers, and I'm kind of going with like best player on the board. I'm going to go Michael Mayer. I've really liked this pick for the Packers for a little while. Basically, you're getting you got Robert Tonyan, free agent after this season. Come on, you're asking too much from poor Mercedes Lewis at this point. So Michael Mayer comes in, immediately helps as a run blocker and plus receiver. Detroit Lions, really fortunate the corner class kind of fell this way, as we still got guys like Cam Smith and Joey Porter still on the board. I'm going to go ahead with Joey Porter. We're going to match up Jeffrey Okudah with probably a friend of his from the Big Ten. So Detroit Lions, they come out this first round with Joey Porter and Brian Breezy. I like it. Jacksonville Jaguars, considered a trade down here, but I couldn't find a trade partner. That's the thing about doing trades. You got to find a trade partner. You got to find someone to dance with. There were a couple of teams in mind, but ultimately I think the Jags just benefited more from hanging on to this pick and going ahead and selecting Cam Smith to pair up with Tyson Campbell there. You get a nice pair of SEC corners in tow there, and you're able to get an upgrade from Shaquille Griffin, at least an upgrade from his play, because he did not play well this year. I don't think he played terrible or awful. I think he had a couple of really bad games, but like as a whole, I think he's only played 5 games this year anyway. I thought it wasn't nearly as bad as people made it out to be. All right, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, kind of want to get corner here. Unfortunately, like, you can make a case for Devin Witherspoon here. There's a case for Osiris Torrance. I even tried to talk myself into Broderick Jones, but I'm pretty sure Donovan Smith's contract, at least after it's going to be hard to get off of his contract in the 2023 season. So ultimately, I thought maybe the best course of action was to trade down. Looking at other teams that might be willing to trade with me, there's Giants, Ravens, Broncos, Bills. Ultimately, I settled on the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh, but they typically trade up, or trade down. Well, teams will occasionally want to trade up and go ahead get their players, and that's what we're gonna be doing here. So we're gonna be exchanging first round picks. And then with this one, I'm going to be very similar to what we did with the Patriots Chiefs trade from last season. So we're going to give up a third and a fourth to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to go ahead. There we go. Force this trade through. And we got the Cincinnati Bengals now on the clock. And this selection was a bit easy for me because I really want to get a tackle. With Broderick Jones still on the board, he's kind of that last tier of tier 1 tackles in this class. So we're going to go ahead and select him, especially with La'el Collins. The play hasn't been that good this year. But on top of that, the injury, the ACL injury, I think is very and then you're not even Jonah Williams is kind of I think he's an above average tackle, but when he has to face an elite pass rusher, I don't know, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, he typically has really bad games. Just happens to be the case. All right, so we're on to the Washington Commanders. Osiris Torrance was a consideration here because I was like, man, this team really loves to run the football. Osiris Torrance would help out with that because their guard spots need to be upgraded. Ultimately, I was like, you know what? Getting another partner in crime there for Benjamin St-Juste, even with Kendall Fuller there, it's like you wouldn't continually add talent and competition at the cornerback spot. So actually, I am going to go with Devon Witherspoon here. I think he'd actually be a really good scheme fit. He's got that length, good athleticism, very physical player. So we're going to do that for the Washington Commandos. My Miami Dolphins have forfeited their pick. Yay. All right, got the New York Giants on the clock, and we're going quarterback. Not really. I'm screwing around with y'all. We're going to go Jordan Addison. You get a nice separated vertically and horizontally, a guy that has proved this year he can play on the outside, so you can keep Wandale there in the slot. To be fair, Wandale probably won't be back at the beginning of the year, but regardless, you're grabbing more talent there. Daniel Jones, he doesn't take downfield shots. I feel like they do that on purpose, but to be fair, I don't think he has great downfield targets anyway, at least outside of Wandale, and Wandale's hurt, so we're gonna improve that situation with Jordan Addison. So, kind of sucks to be the Chargers here. Because, honestly, Jordan Addison is one of my favorite picks to make for the Chargers. Unfortunately, that can't be the case. I think, ultimately, the Chargers cannot get the middle of this defense right. They just can't. They're not a great run-defending team. And the additions of guys like Austin Johnson, Sebastian Joseph Day, they just haven't been good at stopping the run. So let's get a big, meaty boy who actually could push the pocket as a pass rusher as well to help out. We're going to get Siaki Ika. Not a lot of people are talking about this cat as a legit first rounder, and I think that's kind of a shame. I think he's really good, and I think we're absolutely going to see this cat in the first round. He was a bit down as a pass rusher this year, but I think he's a very good pusher, mover of the pocket, good explosiveness for a guy that is 350. All right, the Baltimore Ravens are up here, but are they? They're not. I'm actually going to be trading back. This is another trade we got going on here, and we're actually going to be doing it with here, let me switch to the other screen with the Buffalo Bills. So to pull from this trade, I was like, okay, what can we find that was probably similar in value? Let's see. Okay. okay. I guess this is similar in value. I'm not in love with it, though. Not in love with it. Yeah. I think this one works. All right, so we got this going on. I think also the Ravens, this kind of helps. They're going to have some compensatory picks as well, but they're probably a team that wants to probably pick up some extra picks regardless. So we're going to do this. We're going to replicate. Actually, I kind of want to look at the first round in 2021 to see if there's anything there that we can replicate. Doesn't necessarily look like there is. Yeah, there's not. So we're going to replicate the Jets Titans trade from last year, where we're going to exchange, I believe, third round picks. Well, this is the Jets moving back into the first round, correct? Yeah. That's not exactly the trade I want to replicate. Might be the one that makes the most sense. I mean, ultimately, I think we are given this third. Maybe throw a fifth in there. And then probably getting maybe a fourth back. I think that could be reasonable. Is it though? I mean, we're picking up an extra third. Yeah, maybe that. I think that's a bit better. All right. So we got the Buffalo Bills moving up here. Here, let me switch this back over. And one of the biggest needs, I think, currently for the Buffalo Bills is, in fact, the offensive line. It's kind of let them down this year. They need to improve upon it. We're going to go ahead and take the best guard, because guard has been a position of problems. Ryan Bates ain't it. Roger Saffold, kind of careers in the rear view mirror at this point. So we're going to go with Osiris Torrance, the best interior prospect in this class. Now we got the Denver Broncos. This one was kind of tough, but I think ultimately I was like, you know what? We could reach on whoever is that next tier of tackles in this class, or we could just, you know what? We could just take corners, like get a viable cornerback too next to Patrick Peterson. Did I say Patrick Peterson? Patrick Surtain. There we go. Wow. And I think actually a really good scheme fit would be Emmanuel Forbes, Mr. Pick Six himself. If you didn't know, this guy has 6 pick sixes in his career, which is the most in college football history, or at least FBS. All right, now we got the Dallas Cowboys. This is kind of an awkward spot. There's not a lot of picks that I love. I was like, okay, would anybody willing to trade up? I couldn't really find any team that was really a suitor to trade up. So we went ahead and just made the pick. Anthony Brown is a free agent after this season. Jalen Jones, I think, fits the scheme very well. You get a big boy corner there, pair up with Trevon Diggs. I think that's pretty darn solid. All right, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Screw it. We're going to roll the dice here. Take a swing. Why not? We're going to take Anthony Richardson. I think there might be a good chance Tom Brady, at the most, plays another year with Tampa Bay. I think he's very likely gone this offseason. You got Kyle Trask there. You get to see what you have in him as you basically develop Anthony Richardson. And even then, they might still bring in maybe a Jimmy G or someone via free agency. Anthony Richardson's more of this pick for the future. You got a lot of, there's a lot of talent already on that Bucs team. For whatever reason, it's just not working out this year. So why not take a swing here? I say, why not? Win in Rome. The New England Patriots, we traded down, and I think this is actually a great position to get a player that I really like here in Trent Simpson. I think Bill Belichick would love an athletic freak, guy that's so good in space and a plus blitzer from whatever gap, or even out on the edge. I think you just can do a lot of fun things with Simpson. I think Bill Belichick would love a cat like that. All right, we got the Minnesota Vikings. Let me move this sucker up here so we can fit in all the picks. And I think I'm going to go with Jackson Smith and a Jigba. Just keep getting receivers. Like, KJ Osborne, he's fine. I think ultimately you kind of hope he takes over for Adam Thielen, and then you bring in Jackson Smith and Jigba to be that Cooper Kupp in this offense. I think there's going to be maybe a handful of teams that value Jackson Smith and Jigba's skill set as a first round, and I think one of those teams would be Minnesota. So, all right, Baltimore Ravens, we moved down, picked up some extra picks. We're going to go ahead, grab that receiver that they desperately need. I thought about Downs here, but I think we just need that vertical threat that Jalen Hyatt provides. Big reason they brought Deshaun Jackson in here. Why not just get a younger version, a guy with blazing speed like that? So we're going to snag him here. And then for the final pick for the Philadelphia Eagles, we're going to do what the Eagles do best and trade this pick. So we're going to go ahead and here, let me switch the screens and move this screen down here. And we're going to trade with the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to give up this pick. We're going to be moving up a considerable amount, but it's a good thing we picked up those draft picks from from Pittsburgh to actually make this deal. Trying to see what trade I decided to replicate with this. And yeah, I think ultimately it was I tried considering like the Buccaneers Jags trade from last year, which they pitched a 4th and a 6th. So we would have to do that. Here's our 4th we would be pitching, and then here's the 6th, I believe. Here, let me just confirm that. 2022 NFL draft trades. Let me just confirm specifically what that trade was. Hello, where you at? Here we go. Yeah, okay, so we're giving up at this point. Yeah, those would be the selections we give up. That's very similar to what the Jags did. To be fair, the Jags were moving from 33 instead of 40, but these picks also are better in value, just by a few though. Here, let's just go ahead and do that one. All right, so you're gonna be Eagles picking up 3 extra picks here, and the Raiders now have a 2nd first rounder. Sounds scary, right? And this, I'm gonna actually go with who I think is probably one of the most highest upside prospects on the board. Very good run defender at his size. Let me make sure I'm back on my other screen. And dude, you saw improvement as a pass rusher, though again, being part of Georgia, man, they're going to be using that rotation heavy. But 25% win rate. We're going to go with Nolan Smith. So 2 first rounders for the Las Vegas Raiders, and I think you get a fairly good haul there in Bijan Robinson and Nolan Smith. But here's the draft. Again, a lot of interesting picks. Not necessarily I would do verbatim, but I mean, I can acknowledge, hey, man, this was fun to do with trades. I think at the very least, I think a lot of things in here are pretty realistic. I know people are going to fight me on, Eagles don't select corners. Well, listen, when you fill up every other position and it's the best value on the board, you probably should draft it. I mean, this late run on corners, though, it's like I was trying to figure. I was like, what other positions could really go there? I guess maybe like you could say like Anton Harrison, DeJuan Jones, like whoever the next tackle up is, Darnell Wright, potentially, because I felt like, man, I could see like after Witherspoon another corner maybe sneaking in here. But do I see two? I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comment section below. Isaiah Foskey, by the way, would be pick 32 or 33 by the Houston Texans. There's your +1. I think he'd be a good fit for Lovie Smith. And now you start to address the defense after getting 2 very good offensive weapons in the first round. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing as always. Until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.